Was The Nun 2 an upgrade to the first Nun film, or did it fall short into oblivion? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, I'm going to be talking about The Nun 2. It just came out. I just saw it. Pretty excited to be able to catch this film in theaters. Always fun to go to theaters. And again, when you're talking about horror, it's always a fun thing. But I'm going to talk about my thoughts on The Nun 2. This is the ninth film in the Conjuring universe, and it's starring, of course, Thaisa Farmiga and also Storm Reed and the amazing Bonnie Aarons, who's portraying the nun once again. Now, I know a lot of people were very divisive on the first Nun movie. There were a lot of people that thought the story wasn't really captivating. A lot of people hated the jump scares and just they weren't on board with it. I do know that there is a certain amount of folks that are fans of that first film, or at least thought it was good. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's something that I want to talk about some more, but I actually did not hate the first Nun movie. I'll talk more about that on another video, but let's get into my thoughts on The Nun 2. First of all, just to remind folks, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It helps to support the channel. And if you're a horror fan, if you're a movie fan, then the Night Watch Zone is the place for you. Please subscribe, and yeah, you can join this wonderful community. So in this film, we have Thaisa Farmiga, who's back again as Sister Irene. And I was really happy about that because, one, I enjoy her as an actress. I think she's really doing a lot of great things. She's an up and coming actress. And it doesn't hurt that she is the younger sister of Vera Farmiga, who I absolutely adore in all of her roles, including her roles in the Conjuring universe. So that was a win-win, and I was on board for that. You have Storm Reed, who portrays another young nun in the story. And this time, the story, I think one thing that's really different about this one versus the first film is that it feels like it's a bigger film. And I don't mean in the sense of like, you got, some films or sequels, I should say, they're bigger films because, they got more explosions, they got more deaths, they got more, everything's, bombastic. What I mean is the locations and also the situations and scenarios that they're presenting. In the first film, they were really just at the Abbey. That was the main place, that was the main location for the first film. And it was very, very small in scope because you were following Father Burke and Sister Irene at this abbey, and obviously dealing with all of the terrors within. And you had Frenchie, he was a character, Maurice, who was a character that was kind of on the outside of things. He was part of the story kind of in the beginning because he's the one who found the original nun and then brought Father Burke and Sister Irene to the abbey, and then he kind of came back in near the end of the film. In The Nun 2, you have a much broader scope because you're dealing with this boarding school that has like its own plot and story going on. You have Frenchie, who's one of the groundskeepers there. He went off after the events of the first film. He went off to basically, kind of live his life and that type of thing. So he's at this boarding school, and there's this teacher there who has a young daughter. She has a friendship and with Frenchie and so forth, and it's really cool. She gets bullied. Obviously, you've got that little bit of thing going on there too, and he kind of protects her and looks after her, and is kind of got a little bit of a closeness with the mother, who's the teacher at the boarding school. So you've got all that going on. Now, we as the viewer, we know because of the events of the first film, which also had a connection to the original The Conjuring film, we know what's going on with Frenchie, so to speak. And so we're going to get into some light spoilers because the idea that Frenchie is in this movie was kind of like, oh, wow, this is interesting. What are they going to do with him? Because we kind of know where his story is going to end up, right? But he's just living his life, and it turns into a situation where he's basically a puppet. Okay. Now that's going on. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got Sister Irene, who is trying to, live her life. She's with a whole new group of nuns, and she's, at peace and so forth. And then she gets called back into being an investigator like she was in the first film with Father Burke, but she's called in this time to be the chief investigator because, spoilers, Father Burke has passed away from cholera. So Sister Irene takes that lead position. So Thaisa was really, really in the lead here. And Storm Reed plays another sister who befriends Sister Irene. And so they kind of team up together. They're friends. And also Storm Reed's character, she's kind of like trying to find herself. You know what I'm saying? She has had some things that have gone on in her life, and she's trying to find answers. She's trying to find answers and also strengthen her faith. It's really, really interesting how all that kind of goes on. So you've got Sister Irene and Sister Deborah, and because of events that have happened where there have been mysterious deaths and suicides within churches in different areas, they call upon Sister Irene. The Vatican calls upon Sister Irene because she obviously dealt with Valak in the first movie and survived, and she's kind of renowned because of that. But Sister Irene, where she is right now in her life, she's actually kind of just trying to get beyond that. So in other words, she doesn't tell people about her situation and how the events transpired between her and the demon Valak and so forth. So nobody knows that she is, quote unquote, that sister that defeated a demon. They don't know who that person is. They don't know it's Sister Irene. So long story short, she goes on the case. And I think that this is what made this film, I think, work very well. And I think it's going to be a bit more accessible to people because you have her picking up the clues, going to different locations on the hunt, so to speak. And when I say on the hunt, I don't mean like she's got guns and all that. What I'm saying is she's following the clues, doing the work, the investigation, and so forth. And so obviously the two stories merge, and we knew that would happen because it's got to happen. You got to have Irene and Maurice back together again. And I think that in this film, there were a lot of cool scenes. We've seen from the trailer that one scene at the newsstand where the different magazine pages, they open up and it forms the outline image of Valak. I thought that was really, really good. It was really cool watching it in the theater on the big screen. I think that the tension was drawn out a bit. I heard some people kind of yell in the audience, so that was that was kind of cool. But again, director Michael Chavez, I think he did a pretty good job with what he was doing. Obviously, he was the director for The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, and also The Curse of La Llorona. So in other words, I think that there are some through lines that you can see in this film. Now, let me address probably what a lot of people are wondering. Is it better than the first film? Are they still doing jump scares? To me, jump scares are okay. I think they can be a really good thing in a film. And I think every once in a while you need a good jump scare. But I also think if it's executed right and it flows organically within the story, I think it can work very, very well. In this film, I think they were executed better in general than the first film. But again, with the first film, I didn't have huge problems with the jump scares. Some movies just do that. It's just like some movies have a ton of blood and gore. Some movies don't. Some are more psychological. Some are more simple and straightforward. I think it's really up to your taste and preference, to be honest. If you enjoyed the first film, I think that you're definitely going to enjoy this one. I think this one checks more of the boxes for a majority of an audience than the first film. First film really wanted you to focus in on this one place and really get into this whole mythology and so forth. This movie, I think what it's trying to do is give you more story and give you more characters, because at the boarding school you had these girls, you had multiple girls who were in peril because Valak was terrorizing them. You also had Frenchie and his storyline. You also had Sister Irene and Deborah as they were basically hunting down the clues to find and hopefully defeat Valak. So I think that people who are watching this film in general, I think they can enjoy it better. They don't have to necessarily, they're not asked to do as much, and that is not a knock against the film in my point of view. So, but anyways, I thought Bonnie Aarons was amazing as the nun. I mean, she's always just so good in this role, and I think that the film really illustrated that. But the one thing I really enjoyed in this film, and I hadn't seen this since The Conjuring 2, is that she was controlling other versions of herself and other entities. There was a lot more of that because, like in The Conjuring 2, she was kind of the puppet master, for all of these things that were going on in that movie, so to speak. And we didn't really get that in the first movie as much, or I should say, it wasn't done in a way that was as creative. In this movie, I thought they had some really cool creative moments, not only because she's the puppet master of Frenchie, but also there were other demons and I won't spoil all that for you. But of course there had to be a showdown at the end. There was basically, you had a MacGuffin in the movie that was supposed to be the key to defeating Valak, and that's part of what Sister Irene is on the hunt for as well, to get that to defeat Valak. And Sister Deborah was helping her with it. And I thought that was okay. For me, when I watch movies like this, it's no different than watching an Indiana Jones movie. There's got to be something that they're hunting for, that they need, that's very special or powerful, and in the hands of the wrong person could be like the destruction of the world and all that. So I wasn't, it didn't faze me either way. It was fine for what it was. But again, I enjoyed it. It was fun. There was a lot of good reactions from the audience. I think there were some good genuine scares. And of course, there were some jump scares in the film. But again, the main thing is like Valak and just the evil and the music. I thought the music choice was really good. So I definitely think people will enjoy this more than the first film. And there's also a really interesting little tease, and it's teasing probably, I would think, really a really good crossover that is possibly going to be happening in the Conjuring universe. So you guys definitely, if you're a fan of the Conjuring films, you're definitely going to be interested in this, as I was. But again, a pretty good time at the theater. I went in with no big expectations. I just went in open-minded, and I was happy about what I saw. So anyways, you guys let me know what you thought about The Nun 2. Did you enjoy it more than the first film? Did you enjoy it at all? And if not, let me know why. And we can have a discussion down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps to support the channel, and I'd appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, this is the time to do it. Do it, and we can continue our love for horror movies as a community. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.